And here he is. How you doing, Mr. Greg? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. What about yourself?
I'm doing fine, man. I am so glad to have you on the show. I mean, it's an honor because you have been pumping out videos, man, and content spreading the truth like it's no
I,
tomorrow. So, yeah, go ahead.
no,
Sorry.
I was gonna say I try, man. I try.
So, talk to me a little bit, Greg, about how in the world did you get started being in the whole YouTube platform?
Yeah, man. I've always had like a passion for making videos and stuff like that, and I had experimented with back in the past, in college and whatnot, and then just being in the workforce for a few years, working in the financial services industry. Going through or watching America go through what America was going through. I had my own personal journey where, I decided, I wanted to be an entrepreneur. That was what was going to make me happy, right, as a person.
Yeah.
And I pursued entrepreneurship. That basically led me to starting my YouTube channel and, speaking my mind and my opinion about everything that was going on in the country, especially, coming up on, election time. I thought it was important to, say my piece and whatnot. So, that is what I did.
Now I gotta ask you this, man. Uh, how was you always raised from a conservative standpoint, or did you just came to learn about it as an adult?
Well, I mean, being from the South, I think that most people down here tend to lean more conservative, especially on social issues. And, I was raised in a traditional family, strong Christian values and whatnot. So, not necessarily politically conservative, but just I feel like definitely socially. And I grew up watching Fox News, man. Like I watched a lot of Fox News. Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, Greta Van Susteren. That was my jam back in the day. So I used to watch that real late at night. So I got exposed to conservative politics real early on in life. And I wasn't always as conservative as I am now, especially when I went to college. But it's one of those things that I've come back to, especially getting in the workforce and experiencing real life. It's one of those things that made me more conservative, or as conservative as I was back when I was younger and really watching a lot of conservative media.
Yeah, myself, one thing I can say is that I didn't turn conservative until actually about uh yeah, about a year ago. That's when I turned conservative. And I actually started searching for conservative content, black content, creators, because at the time I was trying to figure out how this whole conservative thing worked. And that's when I discovered you, Jericho Green, Anthony Bryan Logan, all y'all guys came up when I put black conservative. All y'all guys, popped up, and everything else. Now, when it comes to you making your content, has there been any time where you put out something where you actually was like, man, I don't think it's gonna go viral, and it actually just went viral with spreading your message?
So I think the first video that really went viral, um, I was up late and I think I just finished making a video, and this was back when my setup was definitely not as good as this when I first started. And it was the first NFL game of the season. I think it was like the Chiefs versus somebody. I don't remember the team, but apparently, everybody was waiting to see if they would kneel for the national anthem. And obviously they did, right? The NFL was woke. So they did. And I just like, I'm going to make a video before I go to bed. And I made a video. Something just my gut feeling just said, just make the video. So I made the video, went to bed, woke up in the morning. I think it had 8,000 views. And this was when I only had probably about 500 subs ish. And it had 8,000 views in the morning. And then from that video on, is that basically led me to where I'm in right now, honestly.
Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand on YouTube, and I'm starting to learn that too, is that a lot of people want to know how, I guess, like me, you guys, and all that build a platform. I know YouTube have videos talking about, put these keywords in and that keywords in, but I really think if you network on your social media, like your Twitters, your Parlors and your Facebook, I really think that also helps with your videos too. Because if people like your content, they will share it. I don't know what that's about, but they'll definitely share it.
Yeah. So this is at least my interpretation of that. People, I think, ask me a lot, about, how do you grow and whatnot. I think it really just comes down to two things. I think it comes down to consistency. I think that's the first thing. And then two, quality. And it can be interchangeable based off what you're doing. Okay. If you're making videos about news, then you have a clock, right? In which you have to get out that news in a certain amount of time, or else that news is going to be irrelevant because our news cycle moves so fast. Okay. After 48 hours, a story is irrelevant. If you're talking about something after 48 hours, you've missed the boat. You know what I'm saying? And that's something that, again, I realized early on. That's why I make videos every single day, and I try to cover as much topics as I can without necessarily losing quality, not having it be terrible quality or anything like that. And the reason why is because I know that the key is to feed the algorithm, because, as conservatives, we're already being suppressed to a certain extent in the algorithm. So you really just got to do everything that you can to get as many advantages as you can in regards to putting your content out there. And I think, eventually, if you cover the right subject, right, and the video is on point in terms of what you're saying and your opinion, all it takes is one, right? Once one video goes viral, I think for the most part, you're Gucci. Okay. Essentially, if you're still being consistent, you sticking to the message. Because I've noticed in conservative circles, man, like they spread people, right? People that are good, you will spread and you will get big, really, really fast. And the way, and I think that's the way that I grew my channel, is that I just put out content. I talk about the things I want to talk about. And I just make sure I keep feeding people content, and that's it.
Now, because me and you, we so current on events, and we basically think a lot alike, which that's why a lot of reason why I always look up to you, or compare what you've already researched, and I might go back and say, well, let me make sure it's like, because we don't, as conservatives, especially content creators, people don't understand. We try not to sound alike. We try to sound different from
Yeah.
each other, because people quick to get in their fields and be like, okay, you're taking a part of my style, you're not giving me credit. One thing I can
I
actually,
got something to say about that when you finish your thought. Go ahead.
yeah, but one thing I can actually say is I feel like that if you do take something from someone on any type of platform, especially YouTube, you should shout them out. I know a lot of people don't do that. I've seen a lot of content creators since I've been doing what I'm doing that have taken my stuff, ain't even shout me out, just take it. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah. So my comments on that, because I've been into this whole Tommy Sotomayor versus Kevin Samuels thing in my spare time, because that's like some OG stuff. Well, I'm just like, okay, this man was going hard against Kevin Samuels. Okay. And he was like, oh, Kevin Samuels stealing my content. He's stealing my content. He's stealing my style. It reminds me when Soulja Boy was talking about Amigos. It's like, oh, you stealing my song. You stealing my whole flow, man. And I'm like, dude, listen, when you're in commentary, when you're in anything that requires creativity, that requires art, right? They say great artists don't create, they steal. You see what I'm saying? So you have to steal what works best from other people and make it your own. Okay.
Yep.
And that's really the key, in my opinion. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I go, if I'm thinking about what topics to cover today, I'm like, all right, what did ABL talking about? Because ABL has a good sense for topics that go viral.
Yes,
And
he does.
I can gauge from his views and what he gets on in terms of his videos whether or not a topic is worth covering. If I'm on the edge about talking about it, you know what I'm saying? If he talks about it, I'm like, all right, ABL talked about it, I can talk about it. It got him in the views. And you take things away from that. Okay, it's not stealing his content. It's not stealing his content, because again, these are all topics that we're free to talk about. It's just learning from others, right? Learning from others who either do something better than you or do something different than you, and taking it and making it your own. And that's really what
Mhm.
it comes down to.
Yeah, and that is correct, and I think that's what a lot of people as well have to understand. You know, like Kevin. We're speaking of Kevin Samuel and Tommy Sotomayor. I mean, Tommy got to understand something. Everybody have their time in the sun, and then you're gonna slow down. He's already cemented. He's got his fans. He's
Yeah.
gonna have his loyal people. I mean, it's time for someone else to shine. It's YouTube. There's enough room for everyone to shine. I mean, that's like me getting upset with you, Greg, because you covered a story before I did. Oh my God, you stole my story. And then, I'm getting in my feels and stuff. And then I go on a freaking 2-hour rant about how I don't like black conservative perspective, which I
Yeah.
think is high schoolish. And in a lot of ways, it's immature.
Yeah. No, I do agree with you to a certain extent. I think it's one of those things, man, where it's like, again, it's great artists still, right? I mean, that's just what it is. You like the thing is that, I'm talking about this with you because I don't have that many people to talk about this specific subject with. So I hope you don't mind if we
No,
talk
go
about
ahead.
this on your stream, because
Bro, you
I
are
want to get
good.
into this. I want to
You
get into
good.
this because I have talked about this with a lot of people. The thing is, man, I'm like, Tommy Sotomayor, he's like, oh, I'm not jealous. I don't hate Kevin Samuels or whatever. He just stealing my stuff. He ain't giving me no credit, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, dude, you've literally spent 24 hours talking about this man. And not even just talking about, you know, the content. You're questioning the man's sexuality. Okay. Like,
Exactly.
you going for some stuff that ain't got nothing to do with the actual content, what you actually have the actual beef. And he's saying, well, he's, muddying up the message because of his sexuality and stuff like that. And listen, man, I get it. We don't have to agree with everybody's lifestyle. But at
Exactly.
the same time, it sounds to me like you're a little salty. It sounds to me
Hmm.
like you salty because he took what you did, right? And don't get me wrong, I like Tommy Sotomayor. Like, his stuff is
I like him
funny
too.
and
I
he
think
keep it,
it's
he keep it,
comedy.
yeah, he keep it real. But that only can reach a certain audience, right? You have to tone down. Kevin Samuels toned that down and he put it in a way that was presentable to a more broader audience that was actually going to listen. And
Hmm.
he can't be mad about that Tommy Sotomayor has perfected his style. I mean, sorry, that Kevin Samuels perfected his style. You can't be mad about that, man. And that's what I'm
Nope.
saying. Like, it goes back to what you was talking about in terms of, conservative media and whatnot. I can't be mad if ABL beat me to a topic. The only thing I got to do, I just got to outwork him. I already know
Hmm.
ABL's schedule, right? I know when he released video. He released videos about 12, 1 o'clock. So I'm like, okay, if there's a hot topic, I'm gonna get to it either the day before or I'm gonna get to
Hmm.
it the morning of.
Hmm.
You gotta be willing to work when other people are not working. You have to compete
Yeah.
with each other. And instead of hating, you should compete. Because if you're
Exactly.
both competing, then you're both gonna eat, right? You're both gonna
Exactly.
eat. That's the way I look at it.
And I tell people this, and this is where I think a lot of YouTubers, and especially and is as black conservatives now, I'm starting to see it a lot. Be like, I'll give you for instance, that Lucas kid,
Yeah.
or whatever his name is. He was so conservative until him and Officer Tatum got into it. Then all of a sudden, after Officer Tatum basically spanked him, you know, in a debate, he just went all okay. Now I'm a SJW on steroids, and it's like, bro, you still lost all those followers because you didn't maintain topic. It's okay for you and Officer Tatum not to agree. It's okay to get in a debate with another conservative and lose. It's okay. Like
Yeah.
I already know my strengths in debate. I
Yeah.
know that if I debate you, Greg, on finances, you're gonna murder me. That's your department. You know what I'm saying? If I try to debate Anthony Brian Logan on the history of conservatism, he's going to murder me. If I try to debate Officer Tatum on policing, and I've never done policing, he's going to murder me. Now,
Yeah.
if y'all debate me on military, because I'm a prior veteran, I'm going to murder everybody because
But
that's
yeah.
what I did for 6 years.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to respect everybody's strengths and everybody's got to embrace their weakness. And I think that is a major problem I think, in the black conservative community and trying to get other people over, because that's why a lot of our I say a lot of black people are coming over to be conservative, because it's less drama. So for us to make sure that it stays that way, we got to quit acting like it's the end of the world if one is better at something than the other, because we can still eat. There's plenty of room,
Yeah,
plenty of
yeah.
food.
Yeah, no, that's definitely plenty of room. As long as you don't get yeeted from YouTube, yeah, that's gonna be plenty of room, because there's
Yeah.
plenty of people getting yeeted. So if you can avoid getting yeeted, I think you'll be fine.
Now, since we having this interview, Kwame Brown. Now,
We
buddy,
getting into all the topics. We getting into all
yeah,
the good stuff.
we getting all the
We getting
interviews and
into it. All
topics
right,
good.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
So tell me your thoughts about Kwame Brown setting the mainstream media straight. Do you think that mainstream media now, because of Kwame Brown, is on life support? I need to get your opinion on this.
They're not on life support, but they're definitely exposed to a certain extent. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about Kwame Brown is that I know exactly where he's getting like the things that he say. Like, you know, he's listening to the OGs, right? He's getting it from the Tommy Sotomayors. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chronicles of Judah 144.
No, I have not heard of him, but I gotta check him out now.
Yeah, he does most of his stuff on Patreon now, but he talked about sports a lot, and he talks a lot about the whole, like, you know, he's not necessarily a Republican or anything like that, super political. He just has more conservative viewpoints without stating that he's actually conservative. But anyways, Kwame Brown gets a lot of things he say. You can tell he's been listening to those people, right? When you know, when he started to come out and really talk about Becky with the good hair. What's the
Oh,
dude's
you
name?
thought Matt Barnes?
No, yeah, Matt Barnes. We came out the Matt Barnes, and he came out the Steven Jackson. And the things he was saying in terms of, oh, you need to pull your pants up, like you run around here acting like a gangster, you know what I'm saying? You act like a child, like, you know what I'm saying? But you're trying to be woke, Black Lives Matter, but gang banging at the same time. What? And then going after Becky with the good hair for his little run-in with Derek Fisher and his wife, which is so funny. I just could just tell that, you know, this guy had been listening to some people that I have listened to before. And it was so crazy to see him come out of his shell, because I had never heard Kwame Brown talking to them, right? Like everybody else, I'm thinking like, okay, this guy, you know, I don't know what he's doing. Like he's retired, probably living off his millions that he made in the NBA. And for him to come out and to start going after those two, and then, you know, the Breakfast Club try to pick up on it. And when they try to pick up on it, and Charlamagne said those comments about his family and whatnot, and trying to imply that he's a dangerous man, Kwame going off on him, I think that really just set the media on notice that nobody's safe. I mean, he was going after Watkins today, Boyce Watkins, on his stream. So, you know, at this point, if you talk about Kwame, you might want to be careful.
Yeah, exactly. Which I've always gave Kwame props, because he's from Brunswick, Georgia, where I'm literally right now near. You know what I'm saying? And Kwame he's been conservative. He's been talking like this on his Facebook. I'm friends with him on Facebook, and that's how he's been conservative for a minute. I just think that Kwame just got tired of all these naysayers, and I think that he want everybody to know that, look, guys, there's more to life than telling kids to play ball, or you got to be as good as LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson. You just got to perfect your own wheelhouse, and I'm glad he's doing it, because it's gonna take an athlete of his caliber, someone who's played the game, especially in those type of circles of people, to be able to help push this conservative narrative once again that we keep preaching all the time. Do for self.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I'm now my memory starting to come back. I do so many topics, man. I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like gotta think, okay, I made a video about this. What did I say? What I put in there? I remember how this all started, because again, you're right. He has been around talking, but nobody really, you know what I'm saying? He had a following, but it wasn't really, it didn't go viral like it was, right? Like it did. And it was the video of Matt Barnes and what's the other guy named? Steven Jackson.
Gilbert Arenas.
No, Steven Jackson.
Steven Jackson, yeah.
Gilbert Arenas is in there too, but this is what I remember. Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson was talking to Jenny Buss,
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and basically they was talking about a trade. Okay, I think it was like a trade for like Paul Gasol, Mark Gasol, somebody like that.
On Mark Gasol. I think Paul Gasol, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And they was talking about who they traded to get him. And she also threw in Kwame Brown. And then both of them, Becky with the good hair and Steven Jackson, was like, oh, so you just traded this person. And tried to basically act like Kwame Brown was not a real person.
Yeah, and like
And
he
it's
didn't exist.
yeah, and I'm like, why are you saying this? Like, why are you taking these unnecessary shots at this man? You know, just because he wasn't that great at playing basketball. I mean, the dude is retired and he's done. And you can just tell from that he probably, especially being drafted by MJ, I think he was drafted by MJ #1 overall. And, you know, being on that team, I just think that he's probably experienced a lot of mental abuse in the NBA, man. And I think that really got to him over time. And I think that combined with, you know, listening to more conservative commentators, more conservative perspective, especially a lot of the guys that I'm pretty sure he listens to, I think he just, I don't want to say the word snap, but he just one day he was like, I'm done with it. You know what I'm saying?
Time
And
to set the record straight.
yeah,
Yep.
and Stephen A. Oh my God! I mean,
Oh,
there's a
Lord.
highlight reel of Stephen A. going off on this man. Like, and it's just like it was just downright disrespectful, just downright mean. Like, what do you get out of this for really just degrading the man? I mean, there's clips of Jalen Rose being like, "Yo, Stephen A., chill out, bro. Like, you ain't gotta go that far."
Go that
And
far on this man.
yeah, and Stephen A., oh, why not? He sucks. Like, he's bad. He can't do this. He can't do that. And I'm like, bro, like, I understand exactly why, you know, he basically said he want to take Stephen A. to Seattle.
You know, my thing is this. I mean, Kwame Brown did his thing. He was in the league for 12 years. He was one of the top 400 people in the world to play in an elite league that nobody can do every day. And he even had injuries and he still maintained. He made $60 million. He left the game. He's retired. He don't have to work. He has his own farming stuff going on. I think the brother did fantastic. You ask me, he did better than what the top 3% of us as black people be doing right now at his age.
Yeah.
39 years old, retired. Come on now, talk to me.
Yeah, man. No, I would trade places with Kwame Brown any day. And if I was in his place, honestly, I'd be cool with my millions. They can talk all they want. I'm still rich. Like, that's the way I would look at it. So, I mean, you're right. No, I mean, you know, they talk down on the man like he's terrible at basketball. And it's like, bro, we got to have some perspective here, right? Okay, relatively to everybody else in the NBA, yeah, he wasn't that great, but he still was a great basketball player overall. Like, he was drafted #1 overall at like 18 years old. So the dude is obviously good at basketball, and to act like he can't play at all or do anything at all, even though he stayed in the league for I think at least 10 years, right? You don't stay in the league for 10 years if you're as bad as they say he is. He just didn't live up to the expectations of being a first overall pick, and that's fine. That's okay. Look at Greg Oden, right? He's not in the league. I mean, there's a lot of players that are drafted high that end up being bust, right? Kwame Brown at least had a lengthy career to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Okay. And he played, he got on the court, right? So, hey, at the end of the day, man, you know, I like what Kwame's doing. I think that he has a great message, but I do think that Whitlock is right. Jason Whitlock is right in terms of, you know, how he probably should tone it down a little bit. Even though, hey, him keeping it real and being as uncut as he is, that is what attracts people to the platform. Yeah. But, you know, I think Boyce Watkins was talking about how, you know, if Kwame keep doing that, you know, YouTube or, you know, some other platform could, you know, deplatform him and whatnot. And I actually do agree with Boyce on that. I think that is good advice. You got to keep in mind when you're on these platforms that, you know, even though it is, you know, your channel, it's still owned by Google. You know what I'm saying? And with him coming out to the media the way he is, yeah, best believe there are some people probably talking in the background about, you know, the things that he's saying and whether or not it should be allowed. And my, you know, worry is that Kwame may, to a certain extent, he may go too far and end up setting the precedent for black conservatives to start getting yeeted. Because I think to a certain extent, Black conservatives have been spared from a lot of the censorship because we're Black, right? And because they don't want to look like they're silencing Black people. They'll go against the woke narrative. So I think to a certain extent we benefited from that. But I don't, Kwame, him going kind of as far as he's going, I'm just worried that he should keep in mind that in order to win the war, you got to be strategic. You don't want to get kicked off these platforms, just because you got a whole lot to say. You can say all that stuff, but you got to say it in a way that's presentable, and it'll also help him reach a larger audience. Okay, and it'll help more people listen to him. It'll help him go more mainstream. Don't get me wrong, I like the raw stuff, but at the end of the day, you got to understand that these platforms, some of that stuff, you might want to tone down on if you really want to keep this reach.
Well, I mean, now what Boys Were Walking said, I agree to it. I just don't like how he made it on his channel. I think that with Boyce Watkins having so much access to the circles that he have access to, he should have went and contacted my man's behind the scene, and he should have said, hey man, this is what I think you need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? To make sure that your platform stays solid. Because right now, it kind of, to me, because the way Kwame thinks, and people should look at how he thinks, it makes him feel like, all right, you saying that you for me, but then at the same time, you kind of critiquing me in a way where you could have done that on the phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I have about Boyce Watkins on that. Which I'm not too much of a Boyce Watkins fan, but besides all that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he got it out there. I mean, Kwame responded, and hey, like I said, I ain't trying to get no smoke with the man. The man is killing it right now.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm just commenting on the situation.
Yeah, me too.
I'm on Team Kwame. I don't
Me
want
too.
you know what I'm saying?
Team Kwame, baby. We don't want none of mama's cooking. We good.
Yeah, I don't want none of mama's cooking. I'm good on all that.
Oh man. So another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, it seems like that in the Black community too now, and not only just Black community, even in the liberal circles now, that we getting a lot of people that are having remorse on having Biden voted in, because now a lot of people are starting to come over to the conservative side. Have you noticed that lately? A lot of people are coming over.
Oh yeah, I think that here's the thing, man. Here's the thing about politics. People, they generally want to maintain the status quo, right? You overpromise and you underdeliver. Okay, and I think what you judge by, it's not necessarily what they get done, but what they legitimately try to do, right? And it's apparent that Biden's not legitimately trying to do any of the things that he said that they were going to do. And I mean, that includes student loan relief. That includes, the stimulus, when he was talking about $2,000 checks and he only delivered on 1,400, tried to bamboozle off of Trump. That was a snake move. And that should have told you right there what the Democrats were about. Okay, that's the first thing they did when they got into office. I'm gonna tell you, Biden would have been set. And see, this is why I don't understand why politicians are so stupid. Biden would have been set if he would have. First thing he would have did, if he got in office, is at his inauguration speech, he should have said, "I'm sending everybody a $2,000 check, and we're gonna work on legislation on this as soon as Monday." If he would have executed on that one thing, everything he's doing right now probably wouldn't matter when it comes to, I would say, his overall perception. And the reason why is because that would have been his first promise, right? Or the promise, that his biggest promise, and he would have executed on it and did exactly what he said he was going to do. And I think that would have really set his administration up where a lot of people could overlook a lot of the things that's going on right now. And I think that him doing that, he set the tone in a way in which people could expect, okay, this dude ain't really trying to do all this stuff, right? So he didn't do that. He's not doing student loan relief. He didn't do the $15 minimum wage. And this is not stuff that I necessarily agree with. I'm just saying, this is why a lot of people on the left are having this buyer's remorse, because all this stuff that they promise, they're not actually really doing. Okay. And it's become apparent to me, they're not really even trying to do it. right? So at that point, um, up Republicans and conservatives have been telling people all election season that Democrats, they just gonna overpromise and underdeliver. And I think that a lot of people are starting to realize, like, damn, them conservatives was right. Like that video, that one video dude was like the Caucasian Republicans. The Caucasian Republicans was right. Like these Democrats, man, they sneaky. And I think people are gonna finally learn that when it comes to politics, you can't expect something if you just give your vote up for free, for nothing in return. And as long as you continue to do that, the Democrats ain't gonna do nothing. They at least pretend with the Asian community that, hey, we trying to do something. But with the black community, they're not even gonna act like they're trying to do anything. They're just gonna go out there and say stuff. They ain't gonna pass no toothless legislation, right? They're not gonna do stuff like that in order to make it seem like they're doing something, because they know that at the end of the day, as long as they continue to play the race card, they'll win. But I think that's changing, because I think there's a lot of people like me and you that have come out and started speaking out against this and making it very clear what is happening. And I think because of that, we are seeing people like Kwame Brown, right? People like that are coming out and really exposing these Democrats. And also on top of that, having this whole like super woke movement that's out here trying to feminize men and, push a lot of things on a black man that have already been pushed on a black man that the black man is really not that comfortable with. And I think because of that and all this stuff happening, I think that you are going to see a major black backlash in black men starting to say, you know what, enough is enough. We're done with the Democrats. We're going to rock with the Republicans, you know what I'm saying? Or the conservative movement for the most part.
And Malcolm X even said it, Greg, that you cannot trust a liberal. He said that in countless speeches. I think that the reason why now that black Americans are starting to wake up, because they're starting to see the pattern. You make me a promise, I vote you in, but then you let me down for the first 3 years. But when it gets the first 2.5 years, but when it gets close to that third year, all of a sudden you're coming on my platform, you're coming in my communities all of a sudden saying, I'm here, I love you, I care for you, I want to be there for you. And then yet you do the opposite every time. And oh yeah, you give me a little money at first to shut me up.
Yeah.
And not only you give me money, but you also lower my expectations as a person to succeed in America.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that black Americans are getting tired of. They're getting tired of being cuddled. They're getting tired of being told that there are everything that we see in these rap videos that is not true. They're trying to tell everybody, I'm a person. I go to work like you. I want an American dream like you. Enough is enough. I'm rolling with the people that are embracing that concept, and we hold it on tight. And I'm glad that it's happening. I really am.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, man. I 100% agree with you on that. I think that the victimhood narrative, I think a lot of black men have, rejected that narrative for various reasons. We want to take back control of our households. You know what I'm saying? Raise our sons. We want to defeat this narrative that, black people are incapable and that black men ain't shit, basically, right? Like, that's just kind of how it goes. And, the way to do that is embracing conservative values, is embracing, traditional gender roles and things like that, right? Like not embracing a lot of the things that are coming from the left, because the things that are coming from the left are the reasons why we're in this situation in the first place. Okay. So at this point, I'm glad to see this movement. I just think that, moving forward, I think it's going to be incumbent on the conservative movement to keep, the more diverse perspectives that have come into the movement.
And another thing too, Greg, I think that, like I was telling my wife when we were sitting down and talking to as well, that at the same time history repeats itself. There was a time that black families and Spanish families, all of us were at the 60 percentile of fathers. Oh well, excuse me. Let me rephrase that. In the 70 percentile of fathers in the homes at one point. I think it was like in the mid 50s. Yeah, in the early 50s and late 40s, about 60 to 70, 65 to 70 something percent when I was looking at the charts of all people were in the home. Fathers were in the home. Now you fast forward now, especially in the black community, 74% of mothers are single mothers. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And we got so many young men out here who do not know how to control their emotions. You know, the one thing I tell people, there's a difference between an alpha male and a beta male. A beta male don't know how to control his emotions. An alpha male knows how to sit there and analyze the situation and know when to react and when to say, I'm going to leave well enough alone.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, this is
Yep.
what happens when, you know, our sons are being raised by women, to be quite honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is just kind of what it leads to. So, you know, with that being said, I mean, I do think that this whole movement in terms of black males standing up is the first step. It really is to bettering the community and taking some responsibility. And I'm glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, I am too. You know, and like I said before, I'm glad that I saw the light because I'm telling you, man, about a year and a half ago, your boy was acting super woke. I was on this whole, oh my God, I'm oppressed, I'm this and I'm that.
Oh,
And
really?
yeah, man, a year and a half ago, oh man, I was messed up, man.
Why
And
was
then
you? Why was you so woke?
because all my life, you know, coming from the projects, bro, you always was programmed that, you know, the white man was the enemy. You know what I'm saying? That you know, you can't, you know, fend for yourself. You know, you always got to watch your back and stuff like that. What really started making me change my mind from all of this when I went in the military. And I was in the military. I still had a faith in God. I still believe in some of the stuff that my mother and my grandmother has instilled in me. And then one day, you know, recently, I was having a discussion with my wife, and my wife, she was raised conservative values, and she was like, "Honey, you don't understand. You're more conservative than what you think." No, I'm not. No, I'm not. And then so one day, I seen what happened to the young boy in North Carolina. I think it was Cannon Hennon. I think
Yeah.
that's the young man name. And I seen that, and then I seen this video where this black guy said, "I'm glad he's dead, and we need more, and we need to kill more of them like it. I don't care if it's a baby." What? Paraphrasing this, and I was like, "Whoa, who?" You know, and then I just like, yo, I can't be a part of no movement like this. This ain't me. And I just started researching more about Republican history and conservative values, and I started learning way more than I thought. Like all these years, I always thought that slaves were just taken by white people in general. Didn't know that actually, in a lot of cases, the villagers, the leader of the villages, was selling the slaves to get resources.
Yeah.
And then I started learning that white people were also slaves at one point, and you know, Spanish people, everybody was slaves at one point. And
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that's it.
That's it. Yeah, that narrative that only black people are slaves, that's
Yeah.
what they want to play up. And that's a part of the victimhood complex. Oh, only you guys were slaves. And then they
Mhm.
say, well, white people were slaves, you had all types of other people that are slaves. Well, it wasn't chattel slavery. It wasn't what was in America. So are you trying to say that slavery in America, like black slavery in America, oh, that's unique. That's so different than everywhere else. I'm like, come on, bro, are you serious? Like a slave
Exactly.
is a slave, man. Like, you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
exactly.
Yeah, some of them they call them indentured servants. I get it. You know what I'm saying? That they have different terms for white slaves. They call them indentured servants, but practically speaking, okay,
Like,
like they a lot of them did not live to get their freedom. So you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like it's one of those things that the narrative is always about how victimized black people have been. And I'm not saying that black people didn't go through anything. I'm not saying that black people have always had it fair. That's not what
Mhm.
I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is that at some point in 2021, you have to realize that we're not living during Jim Crow anymore. We're not living in slavery anymore. We have technology. We can level the playing field. You literally have the World Wide Web knowledge at your fingertips. If you want to start something, if you want to learn something, you have more resources than you've ever had before. If you
Mhm.
can't compete in an environment like this, I don't know what environment you can compete in.
Exactly. Exactly, man. And everything you saying is exactly true. I mean, when I look at everybody keep talking about oppression, I'm like, man, I want more of it. I mean, look at if we so oppressed, why is it there are so many nationality of YouTubers out here that can put together creative content and be able to consecutively go out here day in and day out and be successful with it? You know what I'm saying? And get paid and don't really have to work at a regular job. They're their own owner. You know what I'm saying? They're paying themselves. So to me, that lets me know there's opportunity here. You know, you got people that do these other social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of them getting sponsorship deals just for a tweet, just for a smile. You know, so if opportunity is not there, then why is everybody making money out here
Yeah,
of
yeah.
all different races, man?
Yeah, no, you're right, and that's what I was saying about the internet. How the internet has leveled the playing field. I mean, you can't figure out how to make money in 2021 off the internet, bro. I don't know what to tell you, dog. I mean, you don't have to know how to code to start a website, okay?
Mm-hmm.
To sell something, you can outsource product from China, right? Go to Alibaba, right? You can buy product, send it to Amazon. Then, hey, you can sell stuff on Amazon. Okay, you can
Mm-hmm.
again start a YouTube channel, start a podcast.
Yep.
There's so many different drop shipping. You can do so many things, and you don't even have to own all the means of production in order to do it. You can do
Yeah.
so many things. And the fact is that the people that are still complaining, in my opinion, are either making money from complaining or they're just lazy as hell. Because otherwise, again, if you haven't figured out how to make money in 2021 with all these resources, I mean, we got Bitcoin, man. We have cryptocurrencies. Okay, we basically have a casino, like a more legit lottery that anybody can get access to. That again, you can turn $50 reasonably into $500. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like again, back in the day, yeah, you didn't have all this stuff, so I kind of get it. If this was the 60s, 70s, I
Yeah.
would probably be one of those people that's like, oh yeah, we need this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
I would understand back then, but in 2021 though,
Yes.
if we are as talented as we say we are, then we should be able to outcompete. Okay, we should be able to overcome any challenges because the playing field has been leveled by technology. Nobody's really discriminating against you when it comes to, again, starting your own social media, starting your own podcast, starting your own YouTube channel, starting your own online business. You're not being discriminated against. Okay, like all you need is some capital that you're willing to risk and take a chance and gain some knowledge and apply yourself. And hey, who knows? You may be successful, you may not be. If you're not successful, try it again. Keep trying. Build up your skills. It's really not hard, man. And again, I just don't have any patience for anybody continuing to complain in 2021, dude. It's just too much opportunity out here.
Yeah, and it is. Now, here's the thing I want, and I'm glad that we're talking about opportunities though, because Greg, you have a wealth of knowledge. Uh, let's talk about Atlanta. So you know that right now, Keisha Bottoms is not going to rerun for mayor. I know you talked about it too, but you also know that the prominent neighborhood of Atlanta, Buckhead, is currently right now experiencing a mess. I mean, when I talk about a mess, I'm talking about a crazy mess worth of violence right now. Akon got the rapper Akon got his SUV stolen, his car stolen while pumping gas in
Mm.
Bucket. So, do you think that they will finally listen to the residents of Atlanta and maybe try to do what they can to save face by putting more police, recruit police officers now on ground since they're gonna get Keisha Bottoms out of there? Like she's removing herself, she's not rerunning.
Get her bottoms out of there. But yeah, man. No, if these are black millionaires, right? And money talks, no matter what the
Mm-hmm.
race is. If black millionaires are experiencing this issue, oh, trust me, they're gonna put more police on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
the problem I think will get solved. But I was just looking. I think Black Lives Matter, the support for Black Lives Matter, I think is a lot lower than it was last year. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna do a video on it, but I didn't really look into the story that much. And I think the reason why you're seeing this movement lose a lot of acceptance is because of this whole narrative against police officers being so evil, and everybody knowing with common sense, like if you take police out of these communities that have these thugs and these criminals and all this violence, of course you're going to let these people run wild, and the people that are going to suffer from it are those that are actually in the communities, that live in those communities, that are innocent bystanders. And I think that these people in these communities, they may not say it out loud, but they may understand that, okay, I got two options. I can deal with the police, in which statistically speaking is very, very unlikely for me to actually have any type of real brutality incident with a police officer, right? Despite what the media wants to tell you. Or I can deal with the thugs and the criminals. I think most people are going to want to deal with the police rather than thugs and the criminals. And I think because of that, they may not say it out loud, but I think the whole defund the police narrative, I think a lot of people are not looking at that in a positive light right now. A lot of people are looking at that and questioning that and saying, is this something that we really want?
Yeah, man. And not only that, too, uh, you know, there was a black lady that was on the newscast around here a couple weeks ago. She was screaming, "We need the police! We need the police! We need the police! We're surrounded by crime. We need help." And it made me felt bad to see this lady, crying for help. And I think that this is now starting to show everyone that this is not a good idea. And it's not only Atlanta. I mean, Minneapolis has experienced carjacking through the roof, but they can't get any police officers to recruit because of what happened with George Floyd. And not to mention, too, they have a full black city council, a black mayor who still say they want more police, but they still on the woke movement.
Yeah, well, it's a balance, right? They're trying to balance it. They know deep down what the issue is and that they don't want to defund the police, but you can't upset the woke revolutionaries, okay? Because they're loud and they're probably in the minority, but I can't tell, man. A lot of these kids are super woke in high school, right? So, at this point, I think it is a balancing act for some of these people. And that's why I said, there's a lot of black men coming to the conservative movement because they realize, like, I don't know about this. This don't seem like something that we can job with. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see, especially come 2022, Democrats are probably going to be suffering a lot from some of the violent crimes and some of the extreme rhetoric coming from the left. And the media is not talking about it enough. They really should be talking about crime and how, this uptick in crime kind of goes against, so it's direct evidence that this deep funded police thing is probably not a good idea.
Now, Greg, here's one more thing. I know that I told you I keep it under an hour. I'm trying to
No,
cover.
you got let's do 15, 20 more because we got up here late.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. That's good. That get more people in because we getting people trickling in like crazy now. I want to get your stance on what's going on with the whole sports thing in the U.S. of A., especially NBA. Somebody has said that I read a paper that the PGA Golf had more viewers than the NBA playoffs right now. And they said that is the first ever in history in a long time that the PGA ever beat a major sport like that while they had an event going on. And a lot of people are starting to say that they think that the NBA, if they don't change soon, they may be playing over in China for good. I mean, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, probably. I mean, listen, the NBA and NFL to a certain extent, but the NFL was smart enough to realize, like, okay, we don't want to go that far. They gotta realize, man, you don't bite the hand that feeds you, right? When it comes to these black athletes, again, we're being led by emotional people who don't think with their head. You have a lot of people going out there telling them, hey, you need to kneel for the national anthem. You need to show your support and solidarity with Black Lives Matter. Not realizing that the most effective change that you can have in your community is through money, right? And when you go out there and you protest on national anthem, okay, whether right or wrong, okay, well, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the people that are your fans that sign your paycheck, basically that send you money, they're offended, right? Whether you agree with it or not, they're offended. And if they get offended, then they will stop watching your sport, okay? And the NFL realized this. That's why last season it was like, okay, we'll do it the first game to show that we woke. Then after that, they backtrack, right? They really toned it down for a reason. Now the NBA, on the other hand, they decided last year to just go full woke, for the whole season, keep Black Lives Matter on the court, have their king LeBron James go out there and say the wokest stuff, not put a muzzle on him. And I think that really, really, really hurt the NBA. And also their relationship with China also hurt the NBA, especially considering how the NBA was so loud about this, but they don't talk about any of the things that go on in China. And I think a lot of people, a lot of fans that watch NBA games, a lot of them being conservative, was like, nah, I can't get behind this. I can't get behind this. I can't have you sit here and tell me that I'm a bad person, okay, and disrespect the anthem, while at the same time, you're in bed with China and you're not saying anything to them about the messed up things they're doing over there, which is hundreds of times more messed up. It's not even a comparison to what we're complaining about over here. Okay. And I think a lot of people saw that. And again, a lot of this on LeBron James. And also, you know, with him coming out, the accountability tweet on that police officer, that was bad. That might have been one of the worst mistakes LeBron James has made in his whole career, right? In regards to his image, in regards to the stuff he puts out on social media. I think that really put a nail in the coffin for a lot of people in regards to how they perceive the whole movement and these players and how they feel about social justice. A lot of them are starting to realize that these players are not really thinking. They're just reacting. And LeBron James is a person that's not thinking. He's just going out there trying to basically be a politician. He's a mouthpiece for the Democrat Party. That's what he is. And I think that in and of itself has led a lot of people to just completely be done with NBA. And I don't think the NBA will be able to recover until LeBron James is gone. I really don't. And that may be a controversial thing to say, but I think that LeBron James, his legacy, if he doesn't win more championships, will ultimately be that, was LeBron James the cause of the decline of the NBA, right? Because the NBA peaked under Jordan, right? It became the most popular sport in the world under Jordan, okay? I think they was getting like 35 million viewers during the finals, like a finals game, right? During MJ's era. And then obviously Kobe came in and, you know, it wasn't as popular, but it was still popular, right? The league wasn't in the shape that it is right now, right? And then once LeBron James took over, and especially during this woke revolution, you really start to see viewership decline and how irrelevant the NBA has gotten. And I think that ultimately his legacy will be that LeBron James usher in the worst era of the NBA in terms of relevance and viewership. That LeBron James ultimately hurt the game. And I really don't think the NBA will be able to recover until LeBron James is gone. I think he's basically done something that's almost an unforgivable sin, especially when it comes to that tweet and that police officer. I really think a lot of people looked at it and was like, you know what, we're done with these people for good.
I mean, yeah, and you cannot talk about first responders and think that that is cool, especially when a first responder is trying to save a child's life.
Yeah.
This young lady's life was in the balance, and she had to be saved. Now, another thing that I feel like that is causing the NBA to actually be destroyed is because they are continuing to try to appease these players. I think that at this point of the game, to save the NBA from going overseas in the future, they're going to need someone that can have a strong spine. That should be a commissioner, and they need a player with a strong spine that can say, "Hey, listen, you know, this is not it. This is what we need to do to get our people back involved into the sports, to the American tradition. Because right now, this ain't it. And if you can't be a part of that, you need to go away." You need to play elsewhere. Go to the G League, maybe play overseas with Italy. I don't know, but this ain't it. And before I wrap that up too, um, China is so Hong Kong. I mean, is so hell bent on not having another drop in viewership like America is having right now in sports. They told everybody in the Olympics there will be no Black Lives Matter paraphernalia there.
I think
No
it's
fists
in
up in the
Tokyo.
air.
It's in Tokyo.
Yeah, Tokyo. Yeah, Tokyo said no fists in the air, no freaking Black Lives Matter t-shirts and flags. You want if you do that mess, there is gonna be some consequences and repercussions.
Yeah, no, I mean, also on top of that, a lot of these countries, man, they are committing human rights violations, and if you let one person be woke, then they all gonna be woke. And a lot of these countries, again, are not like the U.S. They don't believe in freedom of speech. So
Nope.
you know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. And yeah, Black Lives Matter is a part of that.
Yeah, and yeah, man. Shout out to Annie C for the super chat. Keep the message going, y'all. We will. We definitely will, man. That's what we do, man. That's what it's about. Now, I got one more thing because I know it's getting that time that I want a topic I want to talk to you about that's been pressing on my mind. How did you like how Ron DeSantis handled that reporter? Did you love it?
Yeah, man, knows good. Man, Ron DeSantis, dude, he knows the playbook, man. He knows the playbook. He's playing it. And honestly, look, I think he might get Trump a run for his money. Like, I'm convinced. I'm like, okay, if Trump does not start to really pick up his relevance, right, in terms of either declaring that he's running for president again, and I know he's trying to do the rallies and whatnot. If Trump doesn't really pick up here soon, I think in the next year or so, a lot of people are going to be thinking long and hard about, is Ron DeSantis the better candidate to go with?
Yeah.
For various reasons. And, that's not a shot against Trump or anything like that. That's just me saying that, listen, everybody has their time. Okay.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there's people that, like we was talking about earlier, there's people that come after you that take your message and take what you do and build upon what you do. And, hey, they could go to, rise to a different level. And
Yep.
that may be what happens with Ron DeSantis and Trump.
I agree. Now I'm gonna ask you this, bro. Uh, what do you think about Rand Paul? Because Rand Paul has stepped it up too lately. I mean, he been going after Falsey, man, and all these people about what's been going on with the whole COVID 19 situation.
He's good too, man. I'm actually this weekend, I'm gonna release a video, my updated presidential tier rankings in terms of who I think has the best chance to win in 2024. And Rand Paul's up there, man. I think that he's probably in my top 3 right now in
Yep.
terms of their rankings. I think it's Trump and then DeSantis and then probably Rand Paul will probably be my 3rd. And I think he's definitely, allowed his libertarian side to shine a lot during this pandemic. And this is something that conservatives really care about, right? The freedom during pandemic, not being, forced to abide by, certain rules that they see as, again, authoritarian and whatnot. And Rand Paul has really taken advantage of that. And he's really going hard against Fauci. And it seems like Rand Paul might be right. Okay. I mean, when it's all said and done, which is crazy to think about, right? That, Rand Paul, who, I think he's like an eye surgeon or something like that. That's his, that's how he was trained. And, Fauci's in this, a closer field to COVID. And he lets, Rand Paul basically school him. And it seems that Rand Paul may ultimately be right. And I think that calls into question, what was Fauci's motivations? Was everything he's saying political, or was he actually really following the science? Because now it seems that it was all political and it wasn't necessarily about science.
I got you. One more question for you, then I'm gonna wrap
Go
this
ahead.
up because I know you got things to do, my brother. The last question that I have for you is how do you feel about the situation with the UFO stuff that is going on? Because a lot of people are like really blown away that the UFO movement has been around here long for a while now. Like, it's coming out that this is not the first time. It's been going on now rapidly for the last 20 plus years. They just now decided to release. Do you think that uh, we maybe might start to see that we may have other life forms that sooner or later may come to Earth? Or
I
you
love
just
this
think,
question. I love this question. This is my favorite topic, man. Um, so here's the thing with the UFO stuff, man. Look, I'm one of those people that I think it is apparent to me, just using logic here, that there is something going on. Okay. And what's going on is something that apparently the military does not want to talk about. And people keep saying that, oh, the government is coming out with this now because it's a distraction and blah, blah. And people, it's clear that they don't actually really know the story. What's happening right now is only happening because you have people like Harry Reid, people like Jeremy Corbell, Luis Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, people who were actually in the government, okay, who were interested in this topic, that had either been involved or worked for what is it, the Advanced Aerial Threat Program, in which they were examining this stuff. And Luis Elizondo, who was the head of that program, he came out and basically got mad at the Pentagon because he was seeing all this stuff and nobody was doing anything about it. Nobody was taking it seriously. So he decided to become a whistleblower. Okay. And that's when you saw that New York Times story came out in 2017 that just kind of started this whole stuff. So this is not the government wanting to do this. Okay. You have people that are putting their name on this story that have a lot to lose. Okay. Right. Like, you have Tucker Carlson, who was following this for a while. Right. You have Marco Rubio, who is basically at the forefront of that intelligence report that's coming out in June. Okay. There is a lot of people who have a lot to lose that have put their names on this topic. And when you understand that, then you understand that, okay, this is not something that the Pentagon or the military actually wants to talk about. It's coming out because it's being forced to come out. And because of that, I think that makes it a lot more credible, and that it's not just some distraction, because again, this is not something they want to talk about. And I think ultimately at the end of the day, if you understand, like, you know, the whole UFO history and all that stuff, how long we've been seeing this stuff, if you've, you know, heard some of the testimony from very credible people, this stuff has been going on since World War II. So when people try to tell me that, oh, well, it's just our secret technology. Okay, well, you would have to assume that we've had this technology for 60, 70, 80 years. That's what you would have to assume. Okay.
mm-hmm.
And then you want to say, oh, well, it's China or it's Russia. So you're meaning to tell me that China and Russia, who, again, China hasn't really had even like any type of real drone stuff. I mean, they just got that in the last 20 years, right? China has not always been that technological advance. Again, this was going on for 60, 70 years. You mean to tell me they made that type of technological leap that fast? I don't know, man. I just don't believe it. That it is ours, and I don't believe that it is from an adversarial country. That's assuming that the eyewitness accounts is correct and that these objects can do the things that they're saying these objects can actually do. That's assuming that. Put it that way. Okay. Now, if you assume that they're correct, in my opinion, what that leaves is that is either something here on Earth that we haven't discovered yet, or it's not from Earth. Okay. And listen, I'm not saying that it can't be the U.S. government. I'm not saying that it can't be another foreign government. I'm just saying, in my opinion, based off what I know and what I've heard, I mean, these things have been around for decades, right? There's stories about them shutting off our nuclear missiles, okay, messing with our nuclear facilities. This stuff is not just stuff that's just popped up, okay? This technology has been around for a while, okay, for a while. And again, I have some serious questions. If we have this technology, why the hell are we flying SpaceX rockets and barely landing them vertically and basically wasting billions of dollars in the process if we had this technology for decades? It just doesn't make sense. What we're sending to Mars is our most advanced technology. Okay, that's the peak of what we have. We see what the peak of what we have is. It's what we send to Mars, right? And again, you know, for me personally, I don't know what it is, but I think that people that aren't taking it seriously or that are just dismissing it just because they don't want to believe that it's, something else that's not us, I think those people are in for a rude awakening. I really do.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I agree with you 100% because I mean, if they had that kind of technology, they wouldn't be flying around or using just normal technology. Why would you do that when you got super guns and all that? That makes no sense.
And
So I'm like,
you have to be doing it for 60, 70 years. That's what I think a lot of people
yeah,
are missing. You it's not something that just happened. We've had this experience since World War II. Since we started blowing up nukes, these things, whatever they are, have taken a lot of interest in our military. And that's not a coincidence. If you understand the whole story, right? If you understand the aspects of everything that's going on, it just, again, to me, the only logical explanation is that it's something else. I just don't know what it is. Go ahead. I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just want
nah,
to
you good,
reiterate
man.
that.
Brother, you good. You good. You good. You are good. All right. So I'm gonna wrap it up with this last question, and I'm gonna go and tell the audience where to find you. Inflation. I know you've been talking about a lot about inflation. Do you still think that we have uh, a real fear that we should be watching about inflation right now in the country? Because I know you have been talking about it. Not only you, but a lot of economic people that are conservative, especially, have been saying that inflation is possibly going to hit before the end of Biden's term. Do you think that's really going to happen?
Um, yeah, so we're already seeing inflation right now. And one of the reasons why we're seeing inflation is because last year at this very time we went through a deflationary period because of the pandemic. Okay, so obviously when the economy gets started back up, things start open back up. We put a lot of stimulus in the economy. Yes, we're going to see some inflation. A lot of inflation came from energy, right? That's what a lot of inflation that we're seeing. But this is something that the markets have been worried about for a few months. Okay, they've been very weary about inflation and all the spending that Biden is doing. So it's really not a surprise to see the inflation. The question is it going to last? Now, the Feds, Janet Yellen and Jerome Powell, think that this inflation is transitory, right? Which means that it's happening now because we went through a deflationary period last year. However, there are some people that believe for good reason that, hey, this could be here to stay because we spent more money in the last year than we've spent in history. I feel like, okay, our debt to GDP ratio is like 130%. It's the highest it's been since World War II. Okay, and we really don't have enough goods and services to meet the demand. Right, a lot of the demand coming from the dollars that the government has put in the pocket of citizens in exchange for not working. Right, so if you're not working and you just sitting home spending money all day, that means you're not producing. And when you're not producing, those goods and services become scarce, which means that these companies are going to have to raise prices on those goods and services. And that is what we're seeing right now. Now, who knows if people start to go back to work, the economy starts to return back to a more normal, then the Feds could be right. It could be transitory, but ultimately, in the, end of the day, I think we don't know. And I think that the Biden administration was being reckless, put it this way, in terms of being so gun-ho about continuing to spend, especially with this infrastructure package. I think just recently they've kind of backed off and just kind of been like, we're not doing anything else for the rest of the year. And honestly, that's smart. That's smart for them not to do anything else for the rest of the year because we're in a good shape. We're in good positions. All the financial firms and the forecasters and analysts are saying that, our economy is going to grow like crazy, right? Our GDP is projected to grow at least like 6 to 8%. Okay. That's great, right? Those are great numbers. So sometimes, you just want to let the fire burn. You don't want to pour more fuel on it or else it'll get out of control. And once it gets out of control, it's hard to rein that fire back in. That's basically inflation, right? It's
Yeah.
hard, right? At that point, the Feds will have to raise interest rates and possibly have to raise taxes to try to cool the economy off. So at the end of the day, man, I think it is something that we could continue to see. But at the same time, it's one of those things that it could be transitory, like the Fed say. Me personally, I think that we probably will see some inflation. In terms of how far it's going to go, I don't know.
All right, so I want to let everybody know that once again, especially you, thank you for coming out to the show. If y'all want to follow Greg, all you got to do is type in Black Conservative Perspective on YouTube, and he is there, right there. Also, too, usually on his videos, on his descriptions, he got his Twitter links and everything else. I still put it in my description on the videos as well. Uh, the podcast where me and him just recorded recently, right now, I'll give him the link via Twitter, and he'll go and he'll share it with everybody on his page. There'll be some clips of this interview on his page that he'll put up sometime this week or maybe next week. I don't know, because I know
Yeah, I'm
this is a
probably gonna
busy
put
man.
them up. Yeah, I'm probably gonna put them up this weekend. I'm gonna go back through them, make sure I'm not saying anything that I'm not supposed to say, and then I'll probably put them up this weekend. Some of the good clips that we talked about. So yeah, man, no, you helped me out, right? When you reminded me about the interview and whatnot. I was, oh yeah, like this is a good opportunity for me to do it because I can clip some of it up, put it on my channel, have content. So I appreciate it, man. You did me a favor.
I appreciate you too, brother. Cause like I said, and y'all listen, like I said before, I know y'all followed my bio thing. I talked about Greg. Uh, Greg, this is the one I'm talking about. Black Conservative Perspective. He was the first guy to respond to me when I had 50 subscribers and gave me the game of what I needed to do to start building a platform. And I appreciate him for that. I had reached out to all these other so-called conservatives. There was even people that had 1,000 that didn't even want to talk to me. He was like, hey man, this is what you need to do. When you get yourself together, come back to me. And I appreciate it. And that's why I say before, this man is an all-star patriot. He's a man of his word. And he will be back on the show again. Maybe next time, maybe me, him, Hood Conservative, and the other people I brought on the show lately, we can, Jericho Green, maybe all of us can make a big super panel so we can all talk and laugh. And on my show, you can curse because I don't give a shit. That's just how I am.
I got you, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you, brother. You have a good night. And thank
Thank
you
you.
once again, brother.
All right, see you. Bye.
Bye.